The Triple Crown series. The three biggest events in snooker: the UK Championship, the Masters, the World Championship. The three events that everyone wants to win. They're the tournaments that define careers, no matter if certain players play them down. But not every good player wins one. Some players spend 15 or 20 years around the top of the game, making finals, semi-finals, and spending time in the top 16, and still never manage to get their hands on one of snooker's biggest trophies. So today I want to answer a simple question: who is the best snooker player to have never won a Triple Crown? Just to be clear, this list only includes players who have never won the World Championship, UK Championship or the Masters. So players like Ding Junhui or Matthew Stevens, they don't count. These are players who came close but never quite got there. Ryan Day. Ryan Day is one of those players where you always felt there was more in there. He had the cue action, he had the temperament when things were going well, but his career never quite kicked on when he was younger, and by the time he started winning ranking events, the Triple Crown opportunities had largely passed. He's had some great wins and some big victories over top players, but he was never someone you realistically looked at and thought, he's winning one of these this year. Ricky Walden. Ricky Walden is an interesting one. 3 ranking titles, loads of experience, and a very solid all-round game. But when it came to the biggest events, he often felt like a quarter-final player. Very good but rarely great. He could beat anyone on his day, but he never really put together those long, consistent, high-quality runs that Triple Crown events often demand. Joe Perry. Joe Perry had one of the longest careers at the top level without ever properly breaking into that elite group. He was reliable and consistent, and always hovering around the top 16, always dangerous early on in tournaments. But when matches got really tight and really pressurised, he didn't quite have that extra gear that the very best players seem to find. He led 4-1 in the 2017 Masters final against Ronnie O'Sullivan, but I never really thought he was actually going to win. Gary Wilson. Gary Wilson is a bit different. 2 ranking titles, an excellent tactical game, and very tough to play. But I feel like his temperament dents his consistency, especially in the biggest events. A semi-final run in the World Championship in 2018 is his best record. A very good pro, but just not quite built for the majors. Dave Gilbert. Dave Gilbert's career will always feel like a what if, especially that 2019 World Championship semi-final against John Higgins. He was 8-3 up and playing some of the best snooker of his life, and then he began missing a few balls. John got stronger and Dave got weaker. He also reached the semi-final of the 2021 Masters and lost again to John Higgins. Gilbert has the scoring, he has the bottle, but confidence in his game has always been the issue. On his day he looks like a top 8 player. The problem is keeping that level in the biggest events. Anthony McGill. McGill is one of the toughest match players on this list. His Crucible record is very good. He's beaten Ronnie, Selby, Trump, often when no one expects it, but he relies heavily on scrappy frames, long protracted safety battles, and errors from opponents. And for me, that's why his record in the Worlds is pretty good, but his record in the other 2 majors isn't. He just doesn't have that scoring power needed to win quickly. However, I have to say, he was desperately unlucky not to reach the 2020 World Championship final. James Watanabe. Watanabe was a genuine trailblazer, a top 16 regular in the 1990s and huge popularity in Thailand and Asia, and at his best he could score with anyone. But the quality of the very top players in those days was brutal. Stephen Hendry, Ronnie O'Sullivan, Jimmy White, John Higgins and Steve Davis, and remember this was a dominant Stephen Hendry. If it was difficult for Jimmy White to win the majors, it must have been impossible for someone like James. Marco Fu. Marco Fu is one of the most unlucky players of his generation. At his peak, he was genuinely world class. He reached the Masters final, multiple UK semi-finals and 2 Crucible semi-finals, and spent time inside the top 5 in the world. His scoring was exceptional, and on his day he could outplay absolutely anyone. The problem was timing. His best years came right in the middle of peak Ronnie, Higgins, Williams and Selby. In a slightly weaker era, Marco Fu probably has multiple Triple Crowns. Stephen Lee. In terms of pure technical ability, Stephen Lee is the best player on this entire list. His timing was ridiculous. Many top players have said he was an absolute nightmare to play, but his career never matched his ability. A single Masters final appearance was his best effort, where he lost to debutant Mark Selby. Whether it was focus, discipline or off-table issues, he never fulfilled what his talent suggested he should have achieved. On ability alone, he's right up there. And your support recently for my channel has been right up there too. If you're enjoying the frequent uploads, you love snooker and you like debate-inducing snooker content, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and stay tuned for a special announcement video very soon. Ali Carter. Ali Carter came closer than most, 2 World Championship finals, both losses to Ronnie O'Sullivan, 2 Masters finals with losses to Stuart Bingham and that man again, Ronnie O'Sullivan. That alone probably changes how history views him. Carter was mentally strong, incredibly competitive and a brilliant match player. He didn't have the natural fluency of others, but he maximised everything he had. In a different era or without Ronnie in his way, he may well have been world champion or at very least a Triple Crown winner. But for me, the answer to this question in the video is Barry Hawkins. A World Championship final and 2 Masters finals, losing to Ronnie O'Sullivan and Judd Trump, and a UK final, losing again to Judd Trump, and over a decade inside the top 16. Hawkins isn't flashy and he hasn't dominated any tournaments, but he's always been there. When the draw gets tough, Barry Hawkins is the name players don't want. If you judge greatness by consistency, longevity, and repeatedly competing at the very highest level, then Barry Hawkins is the best player never to win a Triple Crown. And like a lot of players on this list, without Ronnie O'Sullivan for example, he probably would have won multiple. But who do you think is the best player to never win a Triple Crown? Let me know in the comments, because this is one of those snooker debates that will never really end. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe to Baize Breakdown, and I'll see you in the next one.